Hello everyone and welcome back to another Township Tale episode. As you can see by the title, this is a little guide to get you started, specifically to public kind. I know that there's a lot of you who go about searching for stuff to get yourself started when you're starting a new server, but you don't know exactly how to do it. You don't know exactly where to start, what parts to get, anything in the such. So this is just to help you out on your journey, and this will apply as well to you mates on quests. So don't be distraught by the idea that it's specifically PC, because PC does have a lot more, but it's something that I hope everyone who plays anything publicly. So basically we'll be avoiding the forest. So I guess I should just start with this guide right now, and yeah, let's begin. Okay, so yeah, we're still here. Just to kind of give you guys the letdown, this is where we're going to be talking. So, how is it that you start playing A Township Tale on a public server? Everything in the game is practically built by this point, so you almost think that there's nothing to do. All the bridges, to the blacksmith, across to the little spots out here, mountain pass, to the climbing tower, and everything that goes along with it. So what exactly is it that you're supposed to do? Well, here's how you start. You start here at the beginning when you first spawn into the game. At the beginning of the game you start off with a simple bag, starter's bag, obviously with a couple of rocks, flint, grass and sticks. Most of what you want to collect around you are sticks, flint and grass. Those three items are good enough to get you started throughout the game. And you know what you might as well do? Just throw your rocks out. There's no reason to use them. Nothing really needed for it. I know it typically makes the hammer, but you usually end up finding one around here anyways, if it's rusty, or somebody has some materials in bins that is available to you, however you use. And it only takes a couple, if not 3 ingots to make a simple small hammer, and that's practically it. That's all it takes. So, no more rocks needed. So when you go into town, you're going to be coming across a lot of people, probably people who have been playing this game a long time, and maybe some other people who haven't been playing this game long enough to be able to give you any insight on exactly what to do. And as a recommendation, I don't really recommend going up and just becoming a beggar. Do not be a beggar. Going up to people and asking them to give you things, because it's just too easy that way and it ruins the fun of the overall game and everything that it provides for it. Because there are only 2 outcomes that come out of being a beggar. One, maybe you do happen to get some stuff. We do have a lot of nice people in this game who are willing to give, especially the higher ranked people who just have an abundance to give, admins maybe, moderators, and just some people who play the game naturally. But the alternative is a potential mob who might decide to stab you to death. So you decide, because you might just end up back at the spawn point with nothing, especially if it's a server where you end up dropping your stuff and people might steal it from you. So recommend just doing everything yourself, which begins our process into how we should build up in the server. How I start is when I jump into the server, I start here, pick up a couple of resources, go into town, and I immediately head to the mountain pass, because to the mountain pass is a lot of potential to collect leather, strips, buckles, and other parts, as well as a TP potion and maybe, you know, other varieties of things. And potentially you can come across a few spriggle eggs and chicken that's already pre-cooked in boxes that you find around. So with a simple flint pickaxe that you can make at the very beginning of your game, you're able to crack open those boxes and you should get a good variety of stuff out of it. You only obviously need 1 potion to be able to get back. So once you've collected all your materials, potentially all the buckles, leather, and all the mountain you need, obviously the crafting building is already built. All the settings are set in the position that they need to be, as well as all the pages in the book do exist. So that leads you into your second step. You want to get rid of your grass bag, because who would want that on a server that is constantly riddled with people who have really high stuff? Which will get you to build your standard bag. Your standard bag will be made out of those buckles and leather pieces that you collect. You can collect it, build it there, and by that point you will be able to craft your hammer at the blacksmith right off the bat. Once you built your bag, you might have enough just for the bag alone. I do recommend collecting all of the pieces that you can find when you're out there, just enough to make yourself that bag, and happen to come across enough stuff to make yourself pockets. If you don't happen to come across pockets, that's perfectly fine. You can always head back up to the mountain pass to rebuild it. if it's so needed, and potentially you might want to. So building the bag to the fullest potential that you can get is my go-to. Next step is to provide yourself with a gourd, which means taking a trip down to the mines or on our way to the climbing tower, whichever one you prefer, but my preference is to go to the mines. Taking a simple flint, put some grass on the top and make my way down. A few chests at the beginning might not have it, but even still, getting a gourd is going to be a potential benefit for you. But collect as much resources as you can as soon as you enter the mines. Copper or iron, but mostly copper, because you're going to be starting off at the beginning in the few layers that you have. You don't have any crystals on you, so you won't be able to use the televator, unless you happen to get yourself some from a local mate or local buy. But good luck buying it, because crystals pretty expensive, even just with the 20 coin that you start off with. I do recommend emptying out your mailbox if you get the chance, putting it in your deposit box, if you are somebody who has a little bit of an OCD effect. Not to say that's like some sort of ability, but it definitely is something. If you just want to get that flag down on the mailbox, absolutely would recommend doing that. But once you go down in the mines, collect copper as much as you can get. Obviously, since it's a public server, you would think majority of the metals that start off in the beginning are not going to be there, but it's also not likely, because not everybody needs copper by that point. Everybody who's played this game has usually already started it months back, years maybe, or even a couple of weeks. So they already reached the point of red iron and above. Typically silver is usually the one that you want to get to, so you want to make yourself way down there later on. But of course, not yet. Don't want to confuse you mates into thinking that you have to go for silver almost instantaneously. Just collect enough material to make yourself the standard weapons. Because you have a big enough bag now, you have your light source, and you may potentially come across a lantern down there as just a starter. Because you'll find pickaxe heads, pickaxe handles, whether it's metal or wooden, whichever one is your preference, but even still, recommend grabbing whatever you can and make yourself way back up to the surface. Which takes us back to the blacksmith building where we made the hammer in the beginning, where you will craft your first weapon, sword, pickaxes, tools, and potentially a smithing hammer if you so happen to come across the materials they need, because you already have the hammer available to you, so you won't really need it anymore. Although I can honestly say that when it comes to doing the carpentry, when you have to make the handle for such a hammer or whatever weapon you have, all you need is 2 flint. That is all you need to have with you. Still recommend collecting all the flint that you can at the very beginning, because you will need it, as flint does break over time, but it works very well as a chisel item. So you'll have your handles by then if you don't happen to come across any in the mines, but you will have your weapon and tool heads by the time you're done with it. And once you have those, you'll be able to go down to whatever level you need to as soon as you progress. Obviously still not crystal, especially if it's a public server. People are likely going to be taking the crystal at the levels from when they start spawning and lower, because around 60 or 80 levels is typically when people don't really collect a lot of crystal, which is probably where you want to go if you have the time. Always pack up enough food for yourself. Typically, for myself, I can go about 16 pieces of food and make my way down there. But always remember, the reason why we collect the gourd, if you can find one, is to put 2 TP potions in it, because that is going to be important. And which makes it a good thing that the opening to the Dust Bowl is important, because that is where the TP potion is. When you collect the potion in the box where the Dust Bowl is, you'll be able to fill up your gourd 2 spaces, and if you do happen to have the glass bottle on you, which you probably should have up until you get the gourd, fill that up so you can return quickly back down to the spawn point, because that's going to get you down further without using up too much time. That way you can return down to the mines with your lantern and pick in hand, and then return to the mines, make sure that your lantern's filled, and that you have enough food. That way you can start progressing even further down into the mines and collecting more resource, until you reach the point of iron, which, because it is a public server, after you collected yourself enough iron, and if you happen to have any more copper ingots on you, but that's why you should keep collecting it the further down you go, you'll be able to make the next stage, red iron, which presumably for me is a good standing point when you are collecting materials. or making the best of weapons that you could. Red iron is a really good standing point for me, because as a beginner it can last a pretty long while and it's very easy to make, especially if you know how to go down the mines and easily get that material once again. But once you've gotten yourself a good weapon in red iron, make your pick into red iron, because the higher up the pick, the better the material you're going to get. It allows you to collect silver, which you're down in the mines will be able to collect an abundance of it. If you want to fight the Terrabotters, so be it, but do remember, use a pickaxe when you're fighting them, because they are more weak to piercing damage from a pick rather than a sword that is a more slash and hack. So it doesn't work that well unless you do so. And then you could go two different directions, which I do opportunely change from here and there. I sometimes will continue going down to the mines to get myself some silver ore so I can start upgrading even better material, get some better weapons, tools and everything and such. Or the other alternative, after getting red iron, because it's a really good standing point, is to head to the climbing tower. Climbing tower will allow you to get the climbing ability to move and cross the terrain around you, no matter where you are. Climbing tower is a benefit in all cases. Even though you should just get yourself up to the point of doing red iron, climbing tower will provide you with safety just in case you start moving around and climbing up surfaces that you don't think are completely safe, which do happen often when I'm playing this. But sometimes it's just fun to do, just go around, climb some stuff, play tricks on your friends, but that's why you always want to make sure that you have red iron just in case. Or, if you happen to be me, climbing tower, go down and start getting silver. Silver is the substantial material that you can get that's much easier. Stuff like mithril, such as this blade here, it is the best material for both weapon and tools, but it's not that easy to get. Considering it is a public server, everything has probably been mined out by that point. Most of the best ways for me, if I wanted to start moving up to mithril after getting silver stuff, is to fight the mithril Terrabotters. By that point I do try to get skills in weaponry much better depending on which route you take. I do take the swords route, the swordsman route, so the best way to do so is to go to the carpentry building, cut up a couple of swords that are wooden, go find a Gotara or some creature that is not that damaging or doesn't take a lot of damage all at once, and it is a wooden sword so it doesn't do that much, and just hit it repeatedly until your skill tree goes up. Go find the combat shrine and get yourself air slash, because that's going to be important to have when you go down the mines and start fighting mithril Terrabotters, which is going to provide you with the skill to constantly aim and throw air slash at a mithril Terrabotter. And sometimes if I do come across the occasional dynamite, I will use that too when I'm combating a mithril Terrabotter. You can start dual wielding with your silver weapons or red iron weapons, whichever one you took, obviously. He will explode, have his mithril parts around here and there, and then you'll be able to collect them, eventually reaching to the point where you can make yourself a simple sword. Once you've defeated enough mithril Terrabotters, my preference is usually attack around 6 Terrabotters, because relatively mithril Terrabotters will drop about 3 pieces of mithril, which is enough for a single ingot, and once you defeat them you will have 6 ingots to craft yourself a short sword. And then you have yourself a really good weapon that's very light, very durable, will last a long time. Especially if you end up wanting to use the weapon for air slash on Terrabotters again for mithril, keep doing it. And around that level, if you not have been past it already, if you happen to come across it and you're giving yourself the time, you'll be able to start collecting blue crystal. Blue crystal will allow you to use the elevator to return to those floors down below, and then just keep collecting that, get yourself a bag for the mining, and then return back to the surface. That way you can go back down, hunt more Terrabotters, and you will be filthy rich with mithril, which I do prefer to do, but I do have a variety of metals because other projects and stuff, I'm sure you mates know. But I'm sure that you're all wondering, why didn't I mention anything about Valiant? Obviously with my style, Valiant is a pretty pristine colour to match me, isn't it? But remember, this is about making it to the point where you're really good at the game, where you are able to create a high enough level material in order to kind of match up and how to survive and build yourself in a public server. And Mithril is bystander, the good standing. Valiant is only if you plan on doing extra, which happens to be a mix between silver and mithril. But I don't go down that route because the weapon breaks too quickly and it doesn't seem like it's too worth the effort to mix mithril and silver. But there you go. You've gotten yourself an understanding of how I play A Township Tale. How I start a server that is public, start from the beginning, collect all your materials, find the access to the places that you usually want to have access to in a private server, and you'll be able to start building all your stuff. I didn't go down the route of the hoarder's bag like everybody ever talks about. It's because Quest doesn't have that either. Well, Quest has it, but you can't get it naturally. You have to get it through some sort of modder admin, but if you're playing on a public server, I'm sure you will happen to get one, if so needed, or you so happen to come across any large leather. But of course, again, no forest. What are you going to do? But this is for both PC and Quest. If you want to know how I specifically do PC, I could get into better detail on how my method is. So with that being said, I do thank you all for watching. Just let me know if there's any other Township Tale stuff that you want me to do. There's some other things that I plan on making, and do join the stream because we are actually doing something similar to what I just talked about. We actually started a private server from the very beginning, and we're going to build up the town solo. So you can watch me build the town up by myself as you are in chat, because it's helpful. And if you happen to find any of this helpful, or you do like any of the other material that I do happen to have on the channel, do consider becoming a member of the channel. And I don't mean member, I just mean become part of the community by pressing that little button right there. Very easy press, button's right there. Once you click on that, there should be a little slot that says subscribe right there. Easy press, click it, and here you are. And if you do happen to be a channel community subscriber already, I don't know how to complicate that, you do have an opportunity to become a member. A member will allow you access to custom emojis, you become more involved in other videos, and you will get your name featured at the beginning of every episode that I do, even not Township. So that's basically what I have in mind. So I do thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you have a wonderful day, and goodbye.